that we actually need to address it. Because if we don't address it now, it's never going to be addressed. Let's start with where this issue comes from. Let's start with how we actually start looking to address it. And let's go forward from there. So, boom. People will say, oh, well, yeah, there are a lot of issues going on in our country. I'm glad that people recognize that we have issues going on in our country. But what I want people to focus on is the division that's going on in our country. Because if we don't focus there to begin with, we won't be able to move forward and get anywhere. So the question then there goes, where does the division come from? When has the division started? And what are we going to do actually moving forward to make sure that we can do something different? So I'll tell you, let's go backwards, right? Let's work our way back. So first we started seeing things like, oh, let's do something to push the blacks and the whites separate. Oh, then let's try to push the gays and all of the rest of the alphabet people apart. See, now these things didn't happen automatically. They didn't happen by themselves, okay? It's something that was being pushed, something that was being done, something that was being actually orchestrated. And you'll say, well, Marcus, how can you know that? How can you say something like that? Well, because are you not seeing it? Are you not seeing it, how it comes more and more every day, faster and faster? Now it's, oh, you've got to be on the side of Ukraine because, that's what's fashionable. Oh, you've got to be on the side of Israel, or you got to be on the side of Palestine because that's what we told you to believe. And I can't, y'all. I really can't. Excuse my language. I'm unwilling and unable to conceptualize that these serious things that are going on are just happening automatically by themselves. This is what we need to talk about. We need to talk about where are these issues coming from, why they seem to be getting worse, and how we can improve them. So I'll tell you this. The first thing that we see, and I don't know, let me see here. Here we go. The first thing that we see happening far too much is we see people that try to be separatist, right? And they'll try to be separatist from America because they feel like they're so much better because they've been told that they'll be better humans, right? You're a better human if you support Palestine. Well, why is that? Who told you that you have to support Palestine? Who are these people that are saying that? Why is that their reasoning? Can we even question that reasoning? So that's an important question to begin with. But then we have the question of, well, wait, what do we see happening right now? So we see people screaming anti-Semitism, right? So that's a big thing that people are screaming presently. Let's detail some of the most recent anti-Semitism that they have claimed. They have claimed that there are people on college campuses ripping down the signs in memory of the hostages. So that's a thing that they're saying is happening. They're saying that people on college campuses are harassing people that are Jews and making them fear for themselves and having to lock themselves in rooms and stuff like that. Okay, I hear that. But here's the deal. Didn't we just witness this stuff happening? Did it just happen magically? Was it something that happened automatically? Was it something that was automated? Was it automatic? How did it come about? These things seem to be pretty serious. I don't think that these type of behaviors would be generally tolerated by public. But you know what happened? I'll tell you what happened. We saw this movie already. We saw it start over the last couple of years and nobody said anything. No, it wasn't with anti-Semitism. It was with anti-conservatism. It was with anti-republicanism. It was with anti-traditionalism. People that hate our nation were ripping down the posters of people who were pushing for conservative values or pushing for Republican values or even just simply pushing for our constitutional values. And what happened to them? They'd rip down their signs, they'd rip down their posters on college campuses, and nobody would say or do anything. Nobody would say or do anything. And then we wonder how we got here, right? One of the very interesting things that happened, not to say that it was interesting, but it was a horrifying situation that happened, was the issue with Riley Gaines when she was in, where was she? Oh, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I don't remember, so you're going to have to look it up, but you can look it up. Riley Gaines had went to speak somewhere, I believe it was when she was in California. It might have been Arizona, but I'm pretty sure it's California. And she went out there to speak, and what they did was they protested, snatched down all her stuff, was flipping over people's tables that were trying to advertise for that she was coming to speak and stuff like that. And then when she got there, these crazy terrorists took over basically the whole building that the stuff was in, and they broke out all the windows, they tried to barricade all the doors, and Riley had to run into a room, and they barricaded her inside, and then they tried to ransom her. An American citizen on American territory in an American institution. Are we being real right now? And then everybody tried to act like, oh, there's no problem wrong, nothing's wrong here. Nobody got suspended, nobody got punished, nobody got nothing. Nothing. Why? Because they're conservatives? Because they're Republicans? Shoot, this young lady, all she did was say, I'm a woman, I'm a professional swimmer, I swim, it took me a long time to be able to be so good and to be in the top tier of my swimming sport. I don't think that a man who calls himself a woman should be on the same team as me, and I don't think that I should be subjected to run in a swimming race, right? In a swimming race against a man who identifies as a girl, but even has his wedding tackle, okay, and was until the previous semester competing in the men's sport, but was so crap that he couldn't win anything. He went from like 241 in the men's division to number 1 in the women's overnight. Are we going to have this conversation? Are we going to be real with ourselves? I don't know what we do here, people. I don't know. Because it's so bothersome that people aren't actually standing up and saying anything. That to me is almost sacrilegious. It's almost criminal that nobody stood up for her. Well, there were those of us who stood up for her, but the school didn't. Nobody said anything. Nobody put these people in their place, even though they're committing terrorist acts. Trying to ransom somebody? Like, that is a crime in and of itself, right? Like, why wasn't that punished? But now all of a sudden, it's happening to these people who are Jewish or are Jewish identifying. Now it's a problem. Now it's a very serious problem, and everybody's got to be held accountable for that. But where was that type of energy for the conservatives? Where is that type of energy for the Christians? Okay, so they've done the same thing to Christians that have been going to college campuses and speaking there as well, and having prayers and stuff like that. But where is the justice for them? Where are the people being held accountable for them? And then we wonder, we're like, oh, well, all this anti-Semitism, where did it come from? It's a rise of anti-Semitism. There's no rise in anti-Semitism. I'm going to tell you exactly right now what it actually is. What it actually is there is a massive rise in people being manipulated to go along with whatever the new cause is, whatever gives them the ability to tear some stuff up or act out worse than they know that they're supposed to in public settings. They will latch on to absolutely anything at this point. If it's alphabet stuff, they'll latch on to that. If it's some new country to whine and complain about, they'll latch on to that. If it's, look, what happened with Ukraine, it's happening with Palestine now, okay? Look at Black Lives Matter, it happened with that insanity. This stuff has been building up, right? Like, so the stuff didn't happen to the conservatives at school overnight, right? That happened after a while that happened. But before that, preceding that, we had the Black Lives Matter stuff, which none of those people were punished. All of them need to be in jail. All of them. Somebody might feel some type of way about what I said, but I dang on it sure said what I just said. I said what I said. All of them need to be in jail because they're burning down our neighborhoods, burning down our communities. Did they go burn down some white communities and white neighborhoods? No. Whose neighborhoods did they burn down? They burned down impoverished neighborhoods and black neighborhoods. Did they burn down nice, pretty, affluent neighborhoods? Absolutely not. Which then goes into having more of a conversation about the way that policing was handled during that time, because all of that rolls together. It all rolls right into what we're experiencing now. It's hard, you guys. It's absolutely terrifying that this is what's going on right now. Because what happened during the Black Lives Matter stuff? They told the police to protect certain areas and don't protect other areas. They told the police to make sure that there's certain places and don't protect other places. This is what happened. I'm watching them right now tell the police to stand down at all of these pro-Palestinian stuff. When they're out there burning the American flag, burning the Israeli flag, saying death to Jews. Is that okay? Is it okay? And here's my problem with that, right? I can understand if somebody wants to feel some type of way against Israel and Gaza, right? Because you're uneducated and you have no clue what is actually going on there. That's number one. You just don't know. And that's the number one problem. You don't know, so you try to act like you know, and you try to pick a side, but you have no clue about a war that's been going on for 77 years. And you just found out 3 weeks ago, and now all of a sudden, now it's a big issue. Now it's a big issue for you. But now you got these people over here saying, oh, well, death to Jews. How can you say that? How can you say that? Do you even know if they have family over in Israel? Do you even know if they're practicing as far as their religion go, or is this just an ethnic targeting? Is it cultural? Is it religious? Why? Why would you say that? Why would you say that? That's wrong, right? Because let's be honest. If you're in America and you're a Jew in America, you're a Jew in America. If you're in Israel and you're a Jew in Israel, you're a Jew in Israel. But you're mad at the Jews in America for something that's happening a whole half a world away, legitimately, okay, in the Middle East. You're mad at them for something happening over there. Why? Why? They don't know what the heck's going on over there. They might get a call from a cousin or a family member over there. This is going on, that's going on. Why are you mad at them? What did they do? They're not actively serving in the war over there. They're not doing anything. They're trying to mind their business, live their lives. Why are you at these people? Leave these people alone. And on top of that, the vast majority of them are American citizens. Leave our citizens alone. You want to march down the street with another country's flag, okay? Talking about, oh, we're fighting for the freedom of these people. You ain't even never been over there. You don't know nothing about them. You don't know nothing about their history. You don't know nothing about the religion. Now they got all these people talking about, oh, we're converting to Islam. Skullduggery and subterfuge. It bothers me so bad it really broils my biscuits. I'm trying to tell you. Make you want to spit. It's frustrating. It's very, very frustrating. And you asked me, you said, well, Marcus, why is that? Why is that going on? It's misplaced anger and angst. People, mainly these very impressionable leftist, liberal progressives that have been indoctrinated by the higher educational institutes and colleges and stuff like that, by the leftist socialist teachers, have been taught that this is right. You got to always be morally virtuous, and whoever is the person pushing the narrative that time is the narrative that you have to follow. You know, and it's crazy to me. It's absolutely crazy to me because so many of these people are let to run a raw riot and not punished for anything. But the second that somebody stands up for conservatism or some Republican stands up for something, they want to chop them down, they want to jail them up. They don't want anybody that's pro-America. Oh, you want to march because you believe in medical freedoms or something like that? Lock them up. Oh, you want to stand up for your First Amendment, Second Amendment rights? Lock them up. They don't care. They don't care about America. They don't care about the American citizens. It's a very, very, very serious problem. And we're going to dive deeper into this, but I want to thank you all for listening to us here on WRFZ 106.3 Rochester Free Radio. That's WRFZ 106.3 FM Rochester Free Radio, and this is The Divide with Marcus C. Williams. So let's go back into it. We got a lot of issues going on with this continued propagation of insanity. We really do. And for me, I want to say that we need to address the fact that this did really start and did really come from our higher education institutions, and that's why we see so much of it happening in the college campuses. All of these people have been radicalized on the college campuses, but nobody is willing to talk about it. Nobody's willing to say anything. I want somebody to talk about it. I want somebody to say something about it. All of these people on the college campuses are out here saying, oh, well, it's okay. We're just going to teach them to hate America. We'll teach them to hate our Constitution. We'll teach them to hate anybody that thinks different or bad of anything that has to do with communism or socialism or anything like that. We'll just teach them a lot of hate, but because we'll teach them to be self-righteous. That's it. The teaching of self-righteous, and it's crazy because what's being pushed is erasure of individuality through groupthink, while at the same time promoting the conceptualization that you have to be a unique individual. But when you're erasing individuality because you're promoting groupthink and creating an ever larger group, you've got to actually start making it so that the people are more and more weird and more far out. That's why you see the pink hair people got all types of 80 million different piercings, and they look like they'd never be able to get through a metal detector. Or you see somebody's got to cut their tongue in half and make it like a snake tongue, or somebody's got to get an implant in their brain to be an android, to have a thing hanging off their head and stuff like that, and you'll laugh, right? That's a real thing. That's a real thing. Look up the guy that says that he's a cyborg. Okay, it's weird. It's freaking weird. People are freaking weirdos, bro. All of them, a lot of them. And this is the problem. We're out here like, oh, let's just let it go. It's okay. It's okay. And we're further normalizing insane stuff. And we're telling people that it is okay. We're telling people that it is okay to be outrageous and to do outrageous things and to say stuff that is so beyond decorum that nothing will happen to them. Because right now we see, especially in the majority of the states where that we see this taking hold, or in the cities, we see that they are liberal, progressive, leftist cities or states where this is happening. That's where it's happening. It's happening in New York City, okay? It's happening in LA. It's happening on all of these liberal campuses. They just had some of the what do you call them? The deans, the heads of the colleges that there was the anti-Semitism stuff happened at, and it's just so much stuff going on. It's hard to keep track. But they had, like, Harvard was there, MIT was there, I think like Penn State, or maybe it was Pennsylvania University. I think it was Penn State. They were there. in front of Congress and they were like, yo, is it okay for you to say that somebody should kill a whole group of people? And they're like, well, that doesn't really violate our free speech policy or whatever. See, what free speech policy? Because when conservatives and stuff were trying to come to the college campuses there, you would shut them down, you'd shut them out, you would bar them from speaking, you'd bar them from anything. But this is okay? But this is okay? Now, I'm a constitutionalist first and foremost, okay? And when it comes to the Bill of Rights, those are absolute, okay? Because those aren't rights that are given to you, okay? Those are rights that are given by the Lord and enshrined in the Constitution to be protected so that the government is prevented from being able to strip them from you. That's why those are there. Okay, those aren't given to you by the government. Those are protected in the Constitution because you already have them. Those are your God-given rights. But we don't want to talk about that. We can't talk about that because things have gone too far and they've gotten too far. We've got this whole situation right now where you honestly, they'd be like, oh, well, you can't say that. That's hate speech. I mean, like, you say what you want. That's the First Amendment, right? But when you're locking somebody in a space, when you're terrorizing people by doing different things, like, first of all, I don't believe that flag burning is necessarily freedom of speech if we're supposed to be calling it freedom of speech and it's art or whatever the case is. I don't agree. I do not agree. I do not agree. I don't agree at all. I don't care what you say. I don't care if you're my friend. I don't care if you're somebody that doesn't like me. I don't believe that burning a flag of the nation that you are in, America, okay, is free speech. Okay? I believe that burning the flag of the United States of America is treason. That is an act of a traitor against the American people, and you should be dealt with as a wartime combatant. Facts. Now, if you're burning the flag of another nation in our country, that's a separate conversation because this is not that country. But I'd love to see somebody go to Israel and try to burn an Israeli flag over there and see what happens. I'd love them to go to Egypt and burn an Egyptian flag over there and see what happens. Go to Jordan, burn a Jordanian flag over there and see what happens. Go to Lebanon, burn a Lebanese flag over there and see what happens. Okay? Those are just some Muslim majority countries. You understand what I'm saying? It seems like really where the issue is the left. Really, let me claw that back a little bit. Let me not say the issue is the left. The issue is the Western elite. Okay? The Western elite who want to dominate the planet. Okay? And you'll say, well, Marcus, dominate the planet, that sounds so drastic. Is it though? Is it? So can we be real right now? Did we forget about Africa? Like these little European countries, okay, literally carved up a whole continent and then literally carved up the rest of the world. Like, like they carved up South America, they carved up Africa, okay? And you can fit almost all of Africa. In Africa, you can fit almost all of Europe and America in there. And then some. My goodness. So are we going to really say that there are people that don't want to actually control everything in the world when we saw it happen? We saw it happen. Are we going to deny how America got here to be? Okay? The French, the Dutch, the Spanish, they all came out of Europe on their little ships and they wanted to take over the world, you know? Gold, glory, country. Whatever. Gold, God, and glory. And people say, oh, well, nobody's doing that anymore. Lies. China is actively doing that. Ask Jamaica. Ask Nicaragua. China is actively doing that. Okay? And the only difference now is the way that the Western world is going about it. Instead of us actively taking over different countries, we take them over through fake diplomacy, installing puppet dictators and stuff like that. Okay? We take them over by destabilizing their governments and stuff like that. You know, crazy thing and people were mad at Trump about this. He had his so-called Muslim ban, but it was a policy that was promoted long before he came on the scene. And it wasn't about banning Muslims. It was about banning countries that we blew the F up. I think that's a very fair policy. We shouldn't let people in from other countries that we blew up. Why? Because they're going to be mad. I'll be mad if somebody blew, if let's just say, right, if you've ever seen the movie Red Dawn, right? If Korea attacked us, if North Korea attacked us, okay, or if China attacked us and blew us up, okay, and then they were like, oh, well, you can come into our country, you can live in our country. If it took me till the end of my days to get some get back at them, I'd get some get back. So you're letting these people into our country that we blew their country up. We blew up their grandma in a wheelchair and their pet goldfish, and you're going to let them into our country? You think they're not going to be mad? You think they're not going to hold that against us? Open borders. Don't get me started. Makes you want to spit. But this is the problem. We don't actually talk about this stuff. And nobody's willing to say anything. And it's very, very, very serious facts. Everything that I've stated here today is a fact. You can go look it up. I mean, I don't have to tell you that colonization happened. You got the left screaming all the time, oh, colonization is bad, blah, 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 blah. This is the reason why everything is all racist and this, that, and the third, and da, 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 da. I'm not able to deal with that. I don't have a time machine. I'm not able to go back into time, okay? But I can tell you right now that that's not what's going on. And I'll tell you exactly for a fact that it's not going on because I honestly support imperial America. Don't get me started. Not America as a kingship or a royal family type of situation, but I'm all for us going over and taking over other territories. And you'll say, well, Marcus, how can you say something like that? I'll tell you exactly how I can say something like that. Listen, real close. I can say something like that because we went into Afghanistan. Thousands of American lives lost. We didn't take an inch of territory. We should have took that whole country and incorporated it into the U.S. I can say that because of Iraq. We had thousands of lives lost in Iraq, Americans. We should have took that country. I can say it because of Libya. Thousands of American lives lost in Libya. We should have took that country. Now, you ask me, well, Marcus, how could you say something like that? Well, I don't think we should have went to war with any of them to begin with. You don't have any business going to war with somebody unless you're taking territory. There's no other point. The whole sole point of war is to gain territory or eradicate your enemy, okay? And your enemy has to be the peoples of that place that are not your allies in that place. And that's called a war of attrition, which is similar to what we're seeing going on in Israel right now with the Palestinians and stuff like that. But we can't have that conversation either because I'm going to tell you right now, and you take it how you want it. Palestine is gone and will not rise again. So take that how you want it. These are just facts, okay? Nobody wants a Palestinian people, okay? Jordan won't take them. Egypt won't take them. Saudi Arabia won't take them. Qatar won't take them. The UAE won't take them. Why won't these Muslim majority nations take them? Lebanon won't take them. Why won't they take them? They don't want them. According to Jordan, they said that they don't want them because every time they come over there, that not only are they slovenly, they also always try to destabilize their government. Lebanon said the same thing. Egypt said, absolutely not. We've been there. We've done that already with them. They're always trying to topple our government. We're not with it. And if you remember back, the Muslim Brotherhood really did try to topple the Egyptian government, but that's a whole nother conversation if you actually know some of the history of what's going on in the Middle East. Don't get me started. But back to the concept of imperialization and the westernized nations that are trying to take over the world. So what's going on is the westernized nations, you call them the weird nations, right? Westernized, rich, industrial, educated, democratic nations, right? So That's what you call them, those nations, Europe, America, Canada, whatever the case is. These are the nations that are facilitating the destabilization of all of the other countries that is creating this mass migration serious issue. More and more and more and more. But now you'll say, well, Marcus, why would they possibly do that? Do you want to know? Do you really want to have that conversation? Do you want to dig into it? I don't know that you do. But I'm going to tell you, so if you want to listen and keep going, here we go. So, look, check this out. All of those countries that I said that America went to war with, that's where most of these people are coming from for the migration into Europe, okay? That's why we got so many more Muslims all over the place now. Why? Because we blew up Muslim nations, and now the Muslims are trying to resettle in other countries. It's that simple. It's that simple. And I could go into the conversation about how Christianity is being pushed out, and Christians are being persecuted, and you can't actively practice Christianity, but you can Islam, and Christians need to stand up, and Christians need to fight back for their very nations and for their actual religion, but they're not, because Christians are sitting with their thumb up their bum while Christianity is being erased and pulled out of all of the moral fabric of our society, especially in America, and that's why we have all the problems with the morals and values, or the lack thereof, in America right now, because we've turned away from the Lord, and we need to turn back to the Lord as a nation, as a whole, and repent. But I'm not going to go into that. So, we really have the issue with all of these people coming from these countries. Well, they've infiltrated Europe, right? Europe is all tore up there, okay? They've got a big issue with them in France and in Ireland right now going on, and Spain too, but Spain's is a whole nother conversation. The government is actively destroying its own people over there. It's basically another Spanish civil war right now, but nobody's even talking about that. That's a whole separate conversation for another day. Maybe we'll talk about that on next week's episode. But we've got all of these Muslims going all over the world. Okay, all to the Western world, the Western Judeo-Christian world. And as we make it more so like that's okay, and we don't stand up against the anti-Christian hate and the anti-Christian rhetoric that's going on, that's out there, but we'll do it for anti-Semitism, so that doesn't even make sense. And most of the people pushing against the anti-Semitism would consider themselves Christians or Catholics. Where the hell are you on our issues? But can we talk about that? Absolutely not. Makes you want to spit. But anyway, this is a serious issue. This is a very serious issue, because people say, oh, well, it's an invasion by these people or those people or whatever. So it is. It is, but it's a manufactured invasion, right? We destroyed these countries, we destabilized them, and most of them are going into Europe. Okay, so now over here, let's bring it back to the US and Canada. Over here, we've got people coming from all over the world. We've got a lot of the Muslims coming from all of those Muslim countries we blew up. But we've got other people coming from other parts of Africa too. And we've got the Chinese coming over here, okay, which is a whole separate invasion on itself. That whole Chinese situation, we shouldn't be letting none of them in at all. Not one, because they're all working for the CCP to destabilize our country and turn our country over. Okay, but that's separate, right? But it's together, but it's separate at the same time. But we've got a lot of these illegal aliens in America, because it's different than what's going on in Europe, because Europe, they're actually getting the ability to get, actually migrate, immigrate, excuse me. You gotta make sure I use the words right, because people like to play with them on the news now. Immigrate into the European nations, or whatever the case is. So, over here, we just got a southern border that's way open, because they knew that they would never be able to get past anything in Congress which would be able to allow that many people into our nation. So they said, okay, we'll just destroy the southern border. So now we got all of these people flooding in from these third world countries, like I said, all over the world, okay, and from South and Central America, okay. Many of these people are radicalized because they hate America for one reason or another. We took out their leader, which caused the collapse of their country and their value of their dollar or whatever in South America, or is it a bigger story all across the world? Again, us doing stuff that we didn't have any business doing that we really should have took over the whole country. But don't get me started. Don't get me started. Okay? But now all these people that are mad at us, that hate us, are coming into our country. They don't care about America. They come here, they wave proudly their flags from their country. They don't have any concept of possibly integrating into our society or to our societal norms or anything like that. And everybody can be their own special pretty little snowflake in America. And I'm not with it. Honestly, I'm not. Because you're erasing my country. You're erasing our culture. You're erasing our history. And then we as Americans are supposed to sit up and tolerate this like nothing is going on. But most of you are sitting there and tolerating this like nothing is going on. It's very, very frustrating. It's very, very frustrating. And I don't understand why more people don't stand up. But you know what? Let me not say that. I do understand why more people don't stand up. Because what ends up happening is more people don't stand up because they're concerned about what will happen at their job, what their job will say, or they're scared about what will happen with their friends, or will they be become a social pariah or whatever for speaking up for what's important. They don't want to do that. They don't want to actually. They don't actually want to. What would you say? Take on that risk, take on that issue, or whatever the case is. They don't want that, but we need to because we're losing our country. We're losing our country. And I'm black, right? So, but I'm a black American, and that's another conversation that people don't want to have. There is only one black, and that's black Americans. Jamaicans will tell you real quick they're not black. Africans will tell you real quick they're not black. But now, because of the culture and because they're trying to erase us as an ethnicity, because black is an ethnicity, people. Black is an ethnicity, okay? It means that you're from America for generations. It means that you're from America pre-transatlantic slave trade or during the slave trade and you're descendants of freedmen, okay? That's what it means. But we can't have that conversation either. And that's why the so-called black culture is so disparate right now. Because the people in power try to relabel everybody as being black and they're not. But it's just another way to erase the history of black Americans. And you're like, oh, well, Marcus, now you're talking about black people, this, that. Why don't you talk about white people? It's all the same. It's all the same. This is the same thing. The same thing that they did to black people is happening to white people now. But they just want to push everybody aside from each other that nobody's able to really have the real conversations that are important or actually talk about this stuff. What they do, they started with the riots, right? Where they test the riots and stuff out on the black neighborhoods. Okay? It's like if we really dig into the policies and stuff behind what's going on right now, what's impacting us and the erasure of our traditional history and the watering down of what's going on in our country, you'll see that they started it with the black community. They use us as an experiment. They use us as an experiment to erase the rest of the history of the rest of our country. They took black people off of food products so we didn't have any black people to represent us on food products, telling us that, oh man, we can't have those there because that's racist. For reals? The Quaker Oats guy is still there. For reals? They got rid of the chief off the Chiefs. Now it's the Commanders or whatever it is. Why would you take that man off of there? That's a proud thing. That's a proud symbol. Erasing our Native American history. Our American Indian. American Indian is the proper term when you start talking legality. Okay? But erasing our American Indian heritage. Okay? This is a long game. This is a long, long, long game. And people need to recognize it for what it is. But again, we can't really have the serious conversations that we're supposed to have because everybody's terrified of actually talking about what the truth is. We could talk about it all day, but the question is, are you willing to stand up publicly and say these things publicly? And the answer is most people are not willing to do that. And we need to change that around real quick. Because if we don't start talking about this type of stuff publicly, it's going to be a very, very, very serious problem because we're going to be past the point of no return. And honestly, we're almost there right now. We really are almost there right now. But we can't talk about that either. So going back into where I'm talking about, the people in power that are really orchestrating this whole thing behind the scenes are the political elite, the social elite, and the financial elite. It's all the same. They all go to the same dinner parties. They all are intermarried into the same families. They all have the same bankers. They all go to the same vacations. They all go to the same conferences. George Carlin said it real good one time. He said, there doesn't have to be an out-and-out conspiracy when they know what's best for them. Because what's best for them is best for their friends. But let's be honest, there is also an active conspiracy against the people of the Western world. Because the other thing would be is that if best case scenario, right? Let's play pretend. Let's play devil's advocate for a second. Best case scenario, there is no conspiracy against the Western world. And again, we already talked about it. Conspiracy is a real thing. It's a crime. Look it up on the state and on the federal level. So conspiracy is when, depending on the definition, it's either 2 or 3 people get together and they plan on doing something. That's it. That's all a conspiracy is. That's it. So we know that more than a couple of them are getting together and having conversations on what's better for them. We already know that that happens with private companies and organizations. We already know that that happens in Congress all the time. We already know that that happens in the financial system and the financial elite system. Like, so why is it so far off that the people at the top of the pyramid wouldn't actually care about the people in the middle and on the bottom? And this is what's perturbing to me. We've got, let's just pretend that there is no giant orchestrated thing against the people. Okay? That would mean that there is extreme, gross, beyond fathomable. I don't even know what the word is, right? Like, it's like, you gotta be super dumb, right? Beyond dumb, okay? Like, your brain doesn't work right. Like, something's wrong with you. Like, you're not high functioning. Like, you gotta be, you gotta be retarded or something to actually be like, yeah, it's a good idea to crush our economies by creating inflation, by keep printing all types of money, and to send our money to foreign countries where it's taken by corrupt dictators, where they're subjugating their people, persecuting their enemies, destroying freedom of the press, and, at the same time, we'll let a whole bunch of illegal aliens or people into our countries that don't want anything good for our country and hate our people. You mean to tell me that somebody is that incompetent? You mean to tell me that we've got mouth-drooling buffoons running the whole Western world right now? Is that what you're going to tell me? I thought these were supposed to be our smartest and our best and brightest and our most competent, right? Like, that's what these people are supposed to be, right? I don't know. It's like people don't get it and they don't understand that there's a collaborative effort to erase the history of Western civilization. Now you can figure out whatever reason, you can make up whatever reason you want for that happening. I'll tell you what the core thing behind the reasoning is. Okay? The core thing behind all the reasoning is very, 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 very simple. The people in power, newsflash, want more power. Let me say it again. The people in power want more power, more control over the resources. They want to limit your ability to be able to be more mobile. They want to be able to limit your ability to be able to eat what you want. They want to limit your ability to be able to learn what you deem you should be able to learn or teach your child. They want to limit your ability to do pretty much anything outside of what the people in power would want you to be able to do, because they want to so-called keep you on the reservation and they want you not to be able to do anything. But can we really, really, really talk about that? These are the questions that I actually have that I think need to have a good conversation, but nobody wants to have these conversations. They don't want to have these conversations because they're too much like real, because they're too much like right. But the majority of Americans already know that something is up. The majority of Americans feel it in their bones, but nobody will stand up and say anything. Maybe if more people stood up, maybe more people would actually stand up. I know that sounded funny, right? But I meant what I said. If more people stood up, if more people saw more people standing up, maybe they'd be given the courage to stand up as well. And that's something that's very, very important. I want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors today, Mac Remodel and Repair. If you're working on your house, if you're working on a job that you need assistance with, give them a shout. Mac Remodel and Repair. We'll get over there and they'll give you a free estimate. 585-802-0757. That's 585-802-0757, Mac Model and Repair. Also, if you guys would like to support me directly, if you got Cash App, you can Cash App me, $MW Real number 1. That's $MW Real, the digit 1. Okay, and that's on Cash App, or you can do Give Send Go. You go givesendgo.com/MCW. That's givesendgo.com/MCW, and you can donate a little there for me also. So if you want to help me keep up in my efforts to get the word out there, to spread the truth, to start those important conversations that are not being talked about, to actually encourage more people to get active, you know, put a little bit of money in the coffers to help me keep doing that. And if you want to advertise on the show, definitely reach out, send me a message online, or if you're listening to this and you don't have a way of contacting me, just find me online, Marcus C. Williams, you'll find me, not hard to find. Shoot me a message. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, I'm on YouTube, and if you're watching me on YouTube, make sure that you like and subscribe. And if you're not on my YouTube, go to my YouTube. It's Marcus C. Williams, all one word. Go there and definitely like and subscribe. Okay, so let's get back into it. The grand plan of destabilizing our country, right? Because that's where we are right now. It really is a grand plan, and people don't want to talk about it, and it's concerning. So, as we've seen, as we've talked about the fact that it seems to be a slow erosion by the elite that are in power. They started with the schools, they went after the schools, and they started to dumb down the schools and dumb down the children. There's a study on it, I forget where the study comes from, oh my goodness. But essentially, I want to say it was Harvard, but don't quote me on that. It might have been a medical study from one of the medical journals, or it was by the Harvard people in a medical journal. Doesn't matter. But they wanted to know, matter of fact, I think it might have been the CIA that sponsored it, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, what happened was they did a study of these kids. They wanted to see how many kids were geniuses. So they tested them before they went into school. And most of them, almost all of them, tested in genius level. Okay. And they come back, they test it in the middle school, it's less than half. And they come back and they test them in high school, it's less than 10%. So it shows you that the schools are boxing the children and the youth into these certain ways of thinking and eliminating that spark of light, that ability to think for themselves. Critical thinking is so important, especially nowadays when you're bombarded by so much propaganda on a daily basis. But that's being stolen from our youth, from our children, from the future of America. Critical thinking, it's gone. So they attack that in the universities and in the school systems. And then they put in this subterfuge, be a communist, be a socialist, all of this and this, all this stuff, fight the man, fight the power, all of this, all of that. Really not even identifying who is the man or who is the people in power. And again, it's the elites. It's all of the elites, the people who are funding these things. And why are they funding them? Because it's in their best interest. It's not because they're altruistic, because who would want to cut off their own neck because they're altruistic? Nobody. None of these elite want their head on the guillotine. You guys remember during the crash of 2008 when the Democrats had Occupy Wall Street? They were really on to something there. I don't know what happened to those Democrats. They were on to something. They were like, the big banks are bad and they're conspiring against the people. They were. They are. They're still doing it now. Where are those Democrats now? They won't talk about that. What the heck happened to that? But again, it just goes to show how the minds and the brains have been softened. They crushed that. The elite crushed that. We couldn't have that. They couldn't have that. They couldn't have somebody talking about something real, something tangible, something that people could really understand and get behind, because then they might figure out that they're trying to bend everybody over, because what it is about is it's about socioeconomics, people. It's not about race. It's not about who you go to bed with. Okay? It's not about how you identify. It's about socioeconomic status. Okay? And I don't care if you're a furry or you identify as the moon. Okay? If you don't got the money, okay, to put you in the top 1% of the country, which honestly isn't that much because it's only a couple $1 million, which shows you the wealth disparity, which is a whole nother conversation. Okay? But the problem is if you're not in that top that top tier, they don't want you. They want to do everything that they can to stop you from raising up socially and economically. They don't want you in their group. They don't want you in their clubhouse. Okay? This is real. This is real. And it's being forced and thrust upon the American people. So they they dumb down our students in school, they dumb down our children, they dumb down our youth. They relieve the parents of their parental rights, they strip those. So now your child can do whatever they want to themselves, to their body, or identify however they want. And you can't do or say anything about that. If you live in New York, yes, that is a thing. It's an actual bill that passed a couple of years ago. And anybody over the age of 13, they're trying to lower that actually down to the age of 10 now. So that's a whole separate conversation for another day. But that's also in California and Washington and a couple of other very states. I want to say Oregon, but don't hold me to Oregon. So that's important. But they are consistent, tearing down the foundations. That's why they got rid of the church. First they came for the Catholic Church. Then they came for the Southern Baptists. Then they came for the evangelicals. But where are the Christians all banding together like the Jewish people are? That's a problem. The Jewish people got it down. The Christians don't got it down. Jewish people been had it down. They've been had it down. They only shop with their own people. They only do business with their own people. They got their own banks. They got their own special non-interest loans and stuff like that for their own people. Do we got that for our people? Absolutely not. And you call yourself Christians, we ain't even supposed to be paying interest. That's against the Bible. Usury. Don't get me started preaching in here today. But again, they tear down our establishments historically that have provided us with morals, values, and virtues. Destroy the school, destroy the church, take God out of the school, so there's no morals or values there to be upheld. Okay? Erase them away and then water down the church. That's why you see all this alphabetism in the churches now. They're like, oh yeah, let your freak flag fly. Show it to me in the Bible. Show it to me in Scripture. The Bible says that's wrong. What the Bible says is worse is the fact that you're propagating it and proposing it to other people, encouraging it. So you double wrong. And it's different, right? It's different if you're not religious, if you're not Christian, or if you're not Jewish, or if you're not Muslim, right? Because all three of these religions say exactly the same thing. But if you are, and you're trying to say that stuff is okay, something's wrong. You're going against doctrine, you're going against Scripture, you're going against the teaching. Whether it's the Torah, whether it's the Quran, whether it's the Bible, you're going against the teachings of all of them. But then they soften the Christian church and try to make it like it's okay. That's why you see all of these churches are all leftist, left-wing, extra progressive alphabetizers. God is a they, them. God is a they, them? Sacrilege, heresy, apostasy. Are we being real right now? Can we have that conversation? No, because nobody's going to say that. Everybody's too scared because America is got all of their testicles are so shriveled up and inside of them because they've been fed all of the estrogen for so long that nobody's got any sacs to actually stand up and say something. There's this guy, and I encourage you to look him up if you're not familiar. His name is, oh my goodness. The name of his group is Black Guns Matter, right? I can't ever say his name right. Marshall or something like that. I think that's how you say it. But go look him up. Black Guns Matter. But he's got a new shirt out. It says, "Being a bee is un-American." I said, that's a shirt for real, for real. It said, "Being a bee is un-American." That's the truth, though. That's the truth, though. If you look at the history of our country, we were some hard sons of guns, okay? When America went into a war, we about to tear some behind up, okay? When we were out competing in sports in the Olympics and stuff like that, we were hardcore. Whenever you saw us in any type of a fighting match, hardcore. We are some hard people. We come from a strong, proud background and history of strong individuals, strong of mind, strong of body, strong of heart, strong of spirit. And all of that has been whittled away by the Western elite in America. And you'll say, well, Marcus, you've talked about so much today. How do you bring all of that together? I'll tell you. So, that's what makes me want to spit even thinking about it. I'll tell you how it works. After they came for the schools, after they came for the churches, they started putting all these laws in and coming for the children. They came for the children. They made you not know who you were. They made you not believe that you were born in the right body. They made you think all types of wacko, crazy insanity that a boy can be a boy, that doesn't have to be a boy, but a boy can be a dog, and a girl can be a clown, and all this insanity. And I poke a little fun at it, but it's not funny. It's dead serious, and it's true, and it's real. It's really, really real. So after they did that, then they open up all the borders. And then they start with that stuff. As they open up the borders, remember that as they open up the borders, they start promoting more and more alphabetism, and more that you don't have to be the person that you were born, and more that whoever doesn't believe what you believe about actual existence, life, and biology is the enemy. And they start dividing people more and more. Okay, you got the whole Black Lives Matter, all this other dissension stuff going on. Okay, it all kinds of starts rolling together. Follow me on here. Okay, it's very simple. It's not something complex or complicated. You can see it if you open your eyes. You know, it's It's like just looking out at the sun. If the sun's out, but without the clouds, you can see it. It's right there. Sometimes you can see it through the clouds, and there's barely a veil over this plan that's being cast upon America. So when they started doing all of that, they also started to attack the police. They also started to get rid of the police. Okay, they started to get rid of our public security apparatus. That was law enforcement. They call them paramilitary because they're not military, because they're controlled and under the authority of the local municipalities or whatever the case is. But that wasn't good enough for the people in power. They want something that's higher up, a higher level. They want something that's more on the state level or on the federal level. And that's why they're working to get rid of all of the police. That's why you see all of this insanity and anti-police rhetoric has been dredged up. Also, by doing that, they've caused a lot of attrition in the police force. So a lot of people are leaving the police force. And then you wonder why. Why would they do that? Why would they actually implement laws that are allowing criminals to run free and get out of jail and not be held accountable and stuff like that at the same time while they're making it so that there aren't any police? I'm gonna tell you very simply. Pay attention. So, you get rid of the police and you let all the criminals out. You can run the people out of the neighborhoods and out of the communities that you want while also protecting and preserving the areas that you want to. Gentrification. And it's not race gentrification, it's socioeconomic gentrification. We covered the socioeconomic aspect of it a little earlier. But it's also more than just that, okay? It's also, now that they're doing that, now they're pushing more people out, but at the same time, they're restricting your movement into cities while they're redeveloping all these cities. They call it traffic calming. Or in New York City, you even got congestion pricing where you can't drive out of your borough, or they're going to charge you $38 to get out of your borough a day. Or even in certain parts of the same borough, they'll charge you to drive in there. Who is this for? This isn't for the common person. Limiting people's mobility, limiting their ability to get the car, to drive. And this also goes right into the green agenda, right? Who's pushing the green agenda? If you really dig into who's pushing the green agenda, again, at the end of the day, you look at it, it's these big multinational corporations and hedge funds and even the oil industry. Surprise, surprise. You know, it's it's like, it's insane. Excuse me. It's insane. And you watch what's going on, you hear what's going on, you listen to what's going on, and you follow what's going on. It paints a very simple picture. They're trying to gain more control over your movement. And they tell you that they don't want you to eat so much meat. Well, if you don't eat enough meat, you won't have enough protein, so you won't be able to be big and strong, and you won't be able to fight back or stand up or push back against the government or whoever's in power trying to put their boot on your neck. Okay? That's why they want you to eat crickets and be a vegan and all of this stuff that really destroys your body. Okay? Whatever, vegans, I hear you out there already pissing and moaning. You know I'm not wrong. Because how much other extra supplements and stuff do you need to really try to keep up that lifestyle and be healthy at the same time? And largely, I don't blame that on them wanting to be vegan, right? That has to go in, again, into the food, right? All of the food processing, all of the chemicals that are used and everything like that. But again, who controls all of that? It's the elites. It's the people in power. It's the people with the deep pockets. It's the lobbies. And why are they doing it? Because it's in their best interest and not in yours. Okay? Not only can they make more money and consolidate more power, they actually get to, well, kill you off. And then you look at our birth rates right now and you wonder why all these women are infertile and stuff like this. And we've got a decreasing population because we've got a negative birth rate in the United States right now. And then you're like, well, why would they bring in all of these illegal aliens? Well, because we have a negative birth rate. And I promise you, it's not so that they can give these people jobs or increase their quality of life. They're bringing them in so that they can be used as a mercenary force against us, the American people. Because when we really figure out how bad it is and what's really going on, people are going to want to stand up, and they're going to try to stand up, but you won't be able to stand up because you're going to be hungry. And the few people that are able to stand up are going to try to stand up, and now the government, the elites, the people who really have the power at the end of the day, have their own mercenary force that doesn't have any allegiance to America, that doesn't have any allegiance to the American people, that are not patriots, that could give a good golly gosh, care about America, okay? They will do whatever they are paid to do so that they can keep their quality of life. And I promise you, they will use these illegal aliens against the American people. You better wake up. Dick Durbin just got on the floor of Congress the other day talking about, oh, we should let them in the army and the military. I'm telling you, they're going to use them against you. You better wake up now. You better wake up now. And you'll say, well, Marcus, but why would they do that? It's simple. It's about power and control. And Kamala Harris got on the TV and she said it herself. We want less people, so there's more resources for us. Look it up. Look it up. That really happened. That really happened. She really said it. They tried to walk it back afterward, say that wasn't what she means. She misspoke. She said what she meant. That was a Freudian slip. That was a Freudian slip. She said exactly what she meant. She made a mistake. She wasn't supposed to say it, but she said the quiet part out loud. The quiet part that everybody already knew in America, but she just said it out loud. That's why they're doing the stuff to destroy the farms. That's why they're poisoning the air. That's why they're poisoning the water. We got all of these environmental concerns that we should be talking about, but we're not talking about environmental concerns because we're talking about climate change, because climate change is a big thing, but they're poisoning our water, they're poisoning the air, they're poisoning our soil, and we can't talk about that because we're talking about, oh, you need to stop using oil for your car. Are we being serious and real right now? When we still got lead pipes in our country, that's your priority, is us stop using oil when the oil is producing carbon, allegedly, which they're saying is producing carbon dioxide, but the carbon dioxide is actually needed by the plants to grow. And if you really cared about the environment, you'd understand that in greenhouses, they pump in carbon dioxide to help the plants grow, that in America and abroad, we've got the vast reforestation of arid plateaus and arid areas. Arid areas are more so like desert type of areas. And now they're able to actually have plants and grow more and more and more. The earth is more green than ever somehow, even though we're still cutting down the Amazon and stuff like that. We're not being real. Because it's all about what they can throw in front of you to distract you from what's going on. Always ask, how do you say it? Cui bono? Who stands to gain, right? Who wins? Who benefits? Who benefits? Who benefits? The people in power benefit. Not you. Not me. They do. And until we start talking about this actively, we're not going to be able to change anything because they're restricting the laws where you can say something and what you are not able to say. You got misinformation, disinformation, conspiracy theories, hate speech or whatever. You can't say any of these things. You can't say anything because when you say something about it, they're going to tell you that, oh, you're wrong, so we got to deplatform you, we got to lower your circulation, we got to put you in jail or whatever. Like the guy who put out the meme, what's his name, Mackey, something, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but they're trying to put him in jail for making a meme that said basically that Hillary Clinton supporters are so dumb that they text a number to try to vote from a number. And we know that's not true. And there was nobody that actually was a victim of that actually tried to do that. They didn't have an injured party, but they're putting him in jail for that, even though that was just a joke. No, I mean, unless you think the American people are that stupid, like I got a lot of qualms and a lot of concerns, and we just talked about critical thinking and how it doesn't exist anymore, but I don't think our people are that stupid. Like, I mean, it's a serious problem, and it's very, very dangerous. You know, it's very, very dangerous. And the NRA has a case going right now for government interference in free speech, and the UCLA is the ACLU, excuse me. The ACLU is taking up their case because they're like, we don't agree with the NRA, but we definitely don't agree with the government doing these restrictions of rights and liberties. So we really need to understand that it's time for us as a people, us as a nation, us as Americans to come together and to start to stand up together. Okay, whether you're left, whether you're right, whether you're in the middle, whether you're non-affiliated, if you are an American citizen, we have to understand that we are under attack by the people that are in power. This is why the laws that keep getting passed are not good for the American people in Congress. This is why in many states, the laws that are getting passed are not good for the people that are in the states, i.e. New York, where I live, California, Washington, etc. Okay? We need to understand that they are doing everything they can to divide us so that we do not unite together, and they want to lull us to sleep as everything is happening, because if we were to actually stand up, we might be able to flip the table over on all of them, and then they would lose the game because we wouldn't be playing anymore. But they can't have that. That's why they want to limit your movement. That's why they want to limit your ability to speak. That's why they want to limit your finance, which we didn't even get a chance to get into, how they're trying to limit finances and how they shut down people's bank accounts and how they shut down corporate bank accounts and stuff like that. Or especially like they did that real hard in Canada. Okay? This is stuff that we need to be talking about actively, but people aren't talking about. And I really appreciate you sitting here and you're listening and you're vibing with me, because all I want to do is help save our nation, because we are losing everything. Our culture is being erased. Our people are being erased, and we are all being replaced. And that's what they want, because by doing that, they can usher in a new set of orders. You call it a new world order or whatever you want to call it, okay? But they are ushering in more control, more restrictive provisions. And this is on the world scale. In all of the Western nations, it's already happening. That's why you have all of these protests going on. Like I said, Spain, check out what's going on in Spain. Okay, that's really important. Or in France, with all of the farmers protesting because they're trying to shut down all of the farms. What are the people going to eat? Okay, they're doing the same thing in the Netherlands, but the Netherlands are having some kickback, and the farmers actually formed their own political party and actually took a whole bunch of seats. And hopefully, I wish them great success over there. Maybe they're able to make a difference. But Germany, they're out there assassinating politicians and stuff in Germany to prevent people that want to actually save Germany from itself. It's important that we understand that this is a fight that's not just going on in America, it's in all of the westernized nations, and we must stand up, and we must start to unite for what is right. There are simple things that we can understand are bad. Crime is bad, especially violent crime is bad. Violent criminals should be in jail, okay? Period, point blank. Do not tax the citizens out of existence. Right now, taxes are like 40%. That is way too much, okay? We fought the whole Revolutionary War over 3% taxes, and here we are getting lumped upside the head with 40% taxes. Are we being real? Okay? Where are the testes? Where are the balls at? Okay, come on, can we be real right now? What's really going on? Okay, this is really serious, and people need to understand that we are slowly being strangled as the American people while they turn us against each other. It's like that meme, if you've ever seen it online, with the three guys and all of them have some cookies. The one guy looks all extra wealthy and stuff with a monocle and stuff, and he's got a whole pile of cookies. And then there's this one guy with just like a half a cookie, and then there's one guy with like 3 cookies, and he taps the guy on the shoulder in the middle. The rich guy taps the guy on the shoulder, and he points to the guy that only has half a cookie. And while he looks at the guy with only half a cookie, the rich guy takes his other cookie, and then he's like, the guy looks like, where's my cookie gone? And the rich guy's like, he took it. And then they fight against each other. And that's exactly what's happening right now in America. They got us fighting against each other for nonsense. For absolute nonsense. And they're softening the brains and the minds of everybody because they don't want you to be able to think critically. They want you to be absorbed in whatever is high fashion now, whatever is in social media right now, whatever is in the music industry right now. They want you to worship Satan. That's why you see all these artists out there doing all of these crazy and insane things. But, all I'm going to say is this, and this is my encouragement for all of you. I want you to make sure that you remember, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Take action. It's going to be up to us to actually unite. I appreciate you guys listening to us today, listening to The Divide with Marcus C. Williams here on WRFZ 106.3FM, Rochester Free Radio, and I encourage you, check out Mac Remodel and Repair, okay? They'll give you some great estimates and stuff like that, and if you want to donate to me directly, you can go to GiveSendGo MCW. And I love you all. Thank you for the time. Thank you for listening. Please stand up. Now is the time. It's time to take action. Encourage your friends, your family, and everybody else. Because if you don't do it, nobody else is going to. It's not just about the elections. It's about you holding elected officials accountable on a daily basis. You guys be blessed, be well. I'll catch you next week. Same time, same station. I don't think it did right.